it's Girl About Library, and I'm here today with my library book haul for the month of January. I am so excited for every single one of these books. That's kind of a resolution and promise that I've made myself this year. I'm only going to read books that I am super duper excited about. I've already started one, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 5-star read for me. These are good ones. Let's get into the books. First up is Neil deGrasse Tyson's Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. So shiny. I have a guilty admission. I haven't really watched that much of Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm not that familiar with him, and so when I saw this book, I knew I wanted to read it. It's pretty short. It's only like, and there's like an index at the back, so not even including that. It's only 208 pages.
What is the nature of space and time? How do we fit within the universe? How does the universe fit within us?
This book seems like a really good introduction into watching his specials and learning more about astrophysics. I'm also just kind of skeptical about reading this. Like, I'm kind of curious to see how much of this is going to be just completely over my head. I was a science major in college for like a semester and a half. I have some background in science, probably not astrophysics in a hurry levels of science, but maybe. So I'm curious to see, as someone who has a small background in science, how much of this I'm really going to get. Yeah. Okay, I just opened the back page and there's a spider. No, look. Trigger warning if you don't like spiders. Oh, Texas. Texas problems. Anyway, excited to read it. Gonna get the spider out of it. And science. Next up is The Sinner by Petra Hamusfar. I started reading this book. No, I didn't. I was watching the series. I started watching the television series when it first came out. I don't have cable, but my mother-in-law was watching it and was into it and got me into it, and then I never finished it. So I'm familiar with part of the plot of this book, but I have no idea like what the finale is. This book follows a woman named Cora, and one day Cora and her family go to the beach, and for no apparent reason, Cora attacks a man on the beach, like stabs him to death. Possibly to death. Yes, stabs a complete stranger to death. What would cause this quiet, kind young mother to commit such a startling act of violence in front of her family and friends? So Cora commits this crime and like immediately confesses and is like, I did it. Everyone saw me do it. I killed the guy. The police commissioner, the person who's in charge of like investigating what happened, has some questions. Like, her story doesn't quite match up. It doesn't make sense. And so he's kind of unraveling her story and trying to find holes and point them out to her and show her like, there's more to this story here. I don't think you're just a crazy person who stabs strangers. Because I already have kind of like an idea of the plot, I know I'm really gonna like this book because I really enjoyed watching the show. And so I'm excited to see how it ends, because that's the entire reason I picked this up. Like, could not know how this ends. Could not know. I also picked up My Name is Lucy Barton by Elizabeth Strout. I'm pretty sure this is historical fiction, but it's very character heavy. It's very character based, and I'm excited to read this. It's a fairly quick, shorter read, but also really well reviewed. I think this is a BookTube made me read it. I'll link down below if I can figure out who it was that I watched that made me want to read this. I should keep better track of that. Does anyone have tips on how to keep track of that? I've tried to go into Goodreads and like make a habit of tagging that person in the who recommended it to me section, but I'm still terrible at it. Like I know someone told me to read this. I wish I could find them because I would like to thank them, and it's hard to keep track of. This follows a character named Lucy Barton, and Lucy is sick. She's recovering from being sick. And she's estranged from her mother, but her mother comes to visit her in the hospital. And so they're catching up, and I think that's like the conversation that we are experiencing as the novel. But then through them reconnecting and like catching up on what's been going on in her life, there's also this storyline thread of like why they became estranged in the first place. And so yeah, I'm excited to read this. Super good reviews. Somebody recommended it to me, and excited to read it. Next up is the 57 Bus by Dashka Slater. This is a book that has been on my radar for a very long time, and I'm super excited that I'm finally getting to read it. I think I found out about this book on Book Riot, but I'm not 100% sure. But my library didn't have it, and so I had to have them order it, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm excited to read it. I think this is going to be really interesting and very powerful. The author of the book, Dashka Slater, reported on a incident that happened on a bus, the 57 bus, and that was between Sasha and Richard. Richard is a young African-American male who lit the skirt of an agender teenager named Sasha. He lit it on fire, and Sasha was very injured, and Richard was basically, I think he was charged with 2 hate crimes and was facing life imprisonment. And so the journalist, Dashka, did some investigating and just uses this book to continue to report on the real story. Was it a hate crime? Was that Richard's motivation? Was that an accurate charge? And what happened with Sasha? You know, what's the story there? And so I'm really excited to read this. I think this is going to be really enlightening and educational for me. I don't know that much about hate crime legislation. I don't know very much about agender issues, and so I'm excited to read this. Next up is my current read and a book I am absolutely loving already. I think this is probably going to be a 5-star read for me, and that is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This is about Eleanor. There's like an ongoing trend in my reading where it's like the name of the character is in the title. But Eleanor is struggling. She struggles with her social skills, although I don't think she would see it that way. She seems fairly confident in her social skills. This is going to be so hard to do a 60-second review of already. Like, I'm already struggling to find a way to describe Eleanor, and I have all of the time in the world. But she's complicated. She's been through a lot. I don't know yet what happened to her, and I'm not sure if that's even revealed in the book, but something terrible happened to Eleanor, and as a result, she does not cope well in social situations. Or just by herself. She pretty much goes to work, comes home, drinks like 2 bottles of vodka on the weekends, and then heads back on Monday. But then a new IT guy starts to work at her office, Raymond, and one day Eleanor and Raymond are walking home, and they see an older man fall, hit his head, and he's unconscious. So Eleanor and Raymond mostly Raymond, help this man. And all of that together, I hope, kind of leads to Eleanor coming out of her shell maybe a little bit, or finding some healing in her life. It says, ultimately, it is Raymond's big heart that will help Eleanor find the way to repair her own profoundly damaged one. This book has been so like sharp and witty and fun to read so far, but also my heart hurts so much for Eleanor. Like the conversations she's walked in on people having about her, which if you've never had the pleasure of walking in on a conversation that's about you, congratulations, that's probably really nice. But I think that we can all relate to Eleanor on some level. We can also all relate to the people who have trouble communicating with and dealing with Eleanor. But I love this book so much, and I can't wait to watch other people's reviews of it, because like The Wandering Reader whose videos I love, put a review up of this book, and I haven't watched it yet because I don't want anything to be spoiled or even to like hear any more good things about it, because the hype is so high, and I need to enjoy this book for what it is, and I am. I love it. I love it so much. Last but not least is The Boston Girl by Anita Diamant. I've never read a book by Anita. I have one of her books on my shelf back there, The Red Tint, but I haven't read it. It's on my TBR shelf, which is like that whole shelf. But I also got the large print edition, and I didn't even mean to. Sometimes, top secret library tips. Sometimes I get the large print edition of books because at my particular library, those don't tend to have holds on them, and then I read them super quick and I return them because I feel terrible because I know that there are people who need the large print editions of books in order to enjoy them. But I accidentally got the large print edition of The Boston Girl, and I'm so excited to read this. I've heard so many good things about it. This seems much like My Name is Lucy Barton. This seems like a very character-driven historical fiction novel, also based around a conversation, which I think is kind of neat, like a retelling of their own history. Addie, oh my god, I love that name. Addie Baum was born in 1900 to immigrant parents who were unprepared for America and its effect on their 3 daughters. They grew up in the North End of Boston. And Addie is now 85 years old in this book, and she is reflecting back on her life. I think Addie is telling her story to her granddaughter, who is 22 years old. Yeah. And she asks her, how did you get to be the woman you are today? Like, I have tiny tears already. I don't know if you can tell, but I have tiny tears in the corner of my eyes just from reading that sentence. She begins in 1915, the year she found her voice and made friends who would help shape the course of her life. Oh my god. All of these books sound so good. Like, I don't even know where to start. But that is my library haul. It's kind of also my like January, end of January, like beginning of February TBR. But I think I'm gonna fly through all of these super fast because almost all of these are like 5-star predictions for me as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more bookish content. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.